The Lighthouse Keeper's Dog, Max's Stormy Night Rescue. Prologue, The Lonely Lighthouse. On the jagged cliffs of Blackstone Cove stood an old lighthouse, its beam cutting through the endless expanse of the Atlantic Ocean. For over a century, this lighthouse had been a savior for sailors, guiding them safely away from treacherous reefs hidden beneath the waves. Its latest keeper, Arthur Green, was a solitary man in his 60s, weathered by time but deeply dedicated to his duty. His only companion was Max, a border collie with sharp instincts and a heart full of boundless energy. For years, they had weathered the elements together, keeping the light burning no matter the storm. But neither Arthur nor Max could have prepared for the storm that would put them, and their unshakable bond, to the ultimate test. The storm rolls in. It started as a normal winter day. The horizon was painted in muted grays, and the waves slapped gently against the cliffs. Max darted around the rocks, chasing seagulls and sniffing the salt-sprayed air. Arthur, perched on the lighthouse steps, watched him with a quiet smile. By mid-afternoon, the wind began to pick up, carrying with it a chill that hinted at something ominous. The sky darkened, thick clouds rolling in from the west like an advancing army. Max stopped his playful antics, his ears perking up. Arthur noticed the change in his companion's demeanor. "What is it, boy?" Arthur asked, rising to his feet. Max let out a low whine, his gaze fixed on the horizon. By evening, the storm had arrived in full force. The wind howled like a banshee, rain lashed against the lighthouse windows, and waves thundered against the cliffs. Inside the lighthouse, Arthur and Max prepared for a long, sleepless night. The beacon above spun steadily, its light piercing through the storm. "Stay close, Max," Arthur said, his voice almost drowned out by the wind. Max sat obediently by his side, his intelligent eyes reflecting the flickering lantern light. The distress call, as the storm reached its peak, Arthur's radio crackled to life. A frantic voice broke through the static. "Mayday, mayday, this is the Aurora. We're caught in the storm and taking on water. Does anyone copy?" Arthur's heart raced as he grabbed the microphone. "This is the Blackstone Lighthouse." "I copy. Can you provide your location?" The voice returned, strained and panicked. "We're south of the cove, near the reefs. We can't hold on much longer." The transmission fizzled, cutting off before Arthur could respond. Arthur's chest tightened. The Aurora was in grave danger, drifting perilously close to the infamous Blackstone reefs, a graveyard for countless ships over the years. Rescue crews wouldn't make it in time, not in this storm. Arthur looked at Max, who stood alert and ready, as if sensing the urgency of the situation. "We've got to help them," Arthur said. "It's up to us now." The plan. Arthur worked quickly, gathering supplies, flares, a sturdy rope, and Max's waterproof harness. He secured a small flashlight to Max's harness, its beam cutting through the darkness. Max wagged his tail, his body vibrating with anticipation. "Max, we're going to find them," Arthur said, kneeling in front of his loyal companion. "I need you to guide me, boy. Can you do that?" Max barked in response, his sharp eyes brimming with determination. Arthur donned his heavy coat and secured the harness rope around his waist. "Let's go," he said, opening the lighthouse door. The wind nearly yanked it from his grasp, and icy rain stung his face as they stepped outside. Into the storm. The storm was merciless. Sheets of rain obscured Arthur's vision, and the wind threatened to knock him off his feet. Max moved ahead, his nose to the ground, navigating the treacherous cliffs with uncanny precision. Arthur followed, clutching the rope tied to Max's harness. The cliffs were slippery, the rocks jagged and unforgiving. Arthur's lantern barely penetrated the darkness, but Max pressed on, his instincts razor-sharp. Each step brought them closer to the reefs, where the Aurora and its crew were battling for survival. A glimpse of hope. After what felt like hours, Max stopped abruptly, his body tense. He let out a series of sharp barks, his tail wagging in urgency. Arthur squinted into the storm and saw it. A faint, flickering light bobbing in the distance. "There they are," Arthur exclaimed, his heart leaping. Max barked again, urging him forward. The path down to the rocky shore was steep and perilous, but Max navigated it with ease, his paws finding secure footing where Arthur's boots struggled. When they reached the shore, the Aurora was visible, a battered vessel clinging desperately to the waves. Its crew shouted for help, their voices barely audible over the storm's roar. The rescue. Arthur wasted no time. He tied the end of his rope to a large boulder and threw the other end toward the ship. The first crew member, a burly man named Tom, grabbed it and began making his way across, hand over hand. Max barked encouragement, his presence a steadying force. Arthur helped Tom onto the rocks, then sent the rope back for the next crew member. One by one, the fishermen crossed, each more exhausted than the last. Finally, the last man reached the shore just as the Aurora gave a groan and began to sink beneath the waves. The crew collapsed on the beach, their faces pale but grateful. "You saved us," Tom said, his voice trembling with emotion. "We owe you our lives." Arthur looked at Max, who stood proudly beside him. It was Max, Arthur said with a smile. "He's the real hero." The aftermath. By dawn, the storm had passed, leaving behind a calm gray sea. The fishermen were escorted to safety, their story spreading like wildfire through the nearby town. Max was hailed as a hero, his bravery celebrated by all who heard of the daring rescue. Back at the lighthouse, Arthur brewed a pot of tea and sat by the fire, Max curled up at his feet. "You're incredible, you know that," Arthur said, scratching behind Max's ears. The dog wagged his tail, content in the warmth of their home and the knowledge that he had saved lives. Epilogue, a light that never fades. The lighthouse at Blackstone Cove remained a beacon of hope, its legacy intertwined with the story of Max and his stormy night rescue. Visitors came from far and wide to meet the heroic dog, bringing treats and praise. But for Arthur and Max, life returned to its quiet rhythm. Each night, the lighthouse beam cut through the darkness, a reminder that even in the fiercest storms, the courage of one dog could shine brighter than any light. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more stories. And let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you.